The Frozen North, Episode 48, our top 5 NES games.
Hello and welcome to episode number 48 of The Frozen North. Here we are to talk about video games today. Video games, and more video games.
Are we also going to talk about video games?
Wait, what kind of games?
I think we're going to talk about video games.
Audio games.
Audio games.
Audio games.
Here. I'm going to patent that, I think.
Are you?
Braille
No,
It's
games.
gonna be your
costs
first
a lot
game.
of money to
You know what? Braille
I'm not gonna
games.
patent anything.
Braille games.
You gonna have a good story?
Yes.
Sweet. That's nothing like a
Choose your own adventure books.
audio style.
Audio style.
Absolutely. And it's got like one of those, like when you call a customer service helpline. That's how you do it. Like,
Yes.
say yes if you'd like to move forward down the path.
God. Oh, boy.
No. Did you say yes? No.
It would-
No, I didn't.
It would be like a one of those text adventure based games, but read to you.
Like an audiobook.
Audiobook.
They have those, Brian. It's crazy.
Audiobook and it's like an audiobook choose your own adventure book.
We are the Frozen North Gaming Podcast. My name is JJ, and I'm here with my two good friends, Mark.
I'm happy to see everyone.
And
around
48
the
episodes
table.
in, and you almost did it again.
I'm happy to see you all.
I'm happy to see you all. Does that? Do you doubt me? Do you doubt that I'm happy to see you all?
I don't. Well, Brian and I are the only ones here, so.
Oh. Well.
We have a couple of producers in the studio, but
I'm happy to see everyone.
All right then. And
My name
Brian.
is Mark.
Well, I just said you were Brian.
Oh, I'm Brian.
Okay, we'll get there.
We'll
Eventually.
get sometime.
Go Royals. First of all,
Absolutely.
Go Royals. We are a Kansas City based podcast, and our lovable hapless Royals are in the World Series randomly.
heck yeah.
So
Not exactly video game news, but we're
we don't
still
care.
darn proud
yeah,
and darn happy. And one of us is going to the game, which is sweet.
yes, one of us.
Me. I
Yeah.
can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
Ka-ching!
I'll watch it
That'd
on
be
TV.
sweet.
I'll watch it on TV and pretend like I'm
That's
there.
my cash register sound.
Is that what ka-ching means? I wasn't sure.
Wait, are you sure
know.
cash register sound isn't beep, 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 beep,
That's what they sound like. Yeah.
Oh man.
in the future?
All right, 48 episodes in, guys.
48.
Crazy.
That's 2 away from
48 is
Sharp as a doorknob. Look at you.
if you think about it, 48 is 2 days in hours terms. So we've only been doing this for 2 days. So
Yeah, if you listen to all the Frozen North
Yeah.
episodes, you'd be listening for
they're
2 days straight.
they're about an hour long. So
on average, yeah.
yeah. So we've been doing this for 2 days
Whoa,
straight.
man. That's pretty
2
sweet.
days older.
That doesn't include all the stuff I've edited out.
Oh, exactly.
Eek, man. All right. As always, we'd like to hear from anybody listening. You can contact us at frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website at fngaming.net. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/thefrozennorth. We have a Twitter at fnpodcast. Our blog is frozennorthpodcast@blogspot.com. frozennorthpodcast.blogspot.com. And subscribe to us on iTunes. Rate us. And, I also, one more thing I want to reiterate. I said this like a few episodes back, but I know all of our episodes aren't on iTunes, but they are on our website. So if you want to go back and listen to old ones, why would you? You can. I'm sorry. I've listened to some of our older episodes, and we were bad. Not that we're that much better now.
They won't hear the amazing song
Well,
that Brian and I did.
Yeah. Well, we
if
were
they don't
2
go
days
back.
younger back then. So
It's true. A lot of time has passed.
yeah.
Oh boy. So yeah, what do we got? What do we got first on the docket, boys? Boys?
What? You're the one with the notes.
Looks like we all should have notes because I gave them to all of you.
Yeah.
Let me open up this
Good, I'm glad
PDF
you agree.
here.
I don't.
Open up this.
Mark's got to do news. This
News.
I'll tell
week.
you what's up next.
Is first on the list.
Oh man!
And we got a new newsman. We got a new newsman.
Just for this week, I'm doing the news.
Good luck to
Get
you.
ready for this. It's going to be pretty good.
IGN gives Project Spark and Data 10
All right.
Give us
First
some flavor.
up on the news, I'm going to get called out
I can't
immediately
believe you
for
put this as news.
Project Spark review from IGN.
Oh yeah, the most reputable website.
Yeah, I've even said you can't spell ignorance without IGN, so now I'm showing my true colors.
Frozen North does not condone nor agree with either one of these guys' opinions on any other sites out there.
The Frozen North does not condone nor express.
Regardless of how you feel about it, IGN is
Okay.
popular for a reason because they have influence.
Yeah,
Okay, all right,
they're
I'm just saying.
influential.
I check their stuff out all the time.
And they break news sometimes, and other times they break the news.
A game review is not news.
The IGN gives Project Spark an 8
Just
out of
keep going.
10,
All right.
stating Project Spark is an imaginative and rewarding game about making games. It's tough, but worth the work. The game can be downloaded for free with a $40 starter kit available, which adds more art, objects, etc. So, what?
I'm looking at your last comment on there.
Yeah, so all the kids who don't actually know how to make games are going to go out and make really, really bad games. And we will have the joy of laughing at
That's
them.
not what
Whoa.
you said. You said, get ready for unlimited crappy games from middle schoolers.
That's just I'm paraphrasing.
Mark, let me just point this out to you. How do you know that the next Mark Zuckerberg of games isn't going to create on Project Spark and make the revolution of games?
It could happen.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there's not going to be a lot of bad ones.
Right. But that's like in life, you have to wade through the crap to get to the gold nugget.
I know one of our producers agrees with me.
Because everybody knows there's lots of gold nuggets and crap.
That's called corn.
NPD results for September are in.
Mark, what does NTB mean?
Nelson
NTB, huh? National Tire and Battery.
Yeah, there we go.
Wow.
National
Rentador.
Product Data.
Mark's never going to want to do news again.
We're going to do news again.
National NPD. So here's what you can learn about game sales for September. PS4 has outsold the Xbox One for yet another month, despite Xbox One bundling a free game with the package.
Bad
with the
news.
game. Destiny is the top seller for the month across all platforms.
Unsurprising.
Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Hyrule Warriors drove 50% gains in both sales of the 3DS and the Wii U over the previous month.
Very cool.
So there's some decent news for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Either of you guys picked up Smash Brothers?
I don't have a Wii U.
3DS.
Oh, I played the demo and
I feel the same way. Not that the game looked bad or anything. The controls.
yeah,
My I played 2 fights and my thumb was about to fall
it's
off.
definitely going to be
Ugh.
it's definitely going to be much better on the Wii U.
Much better.
Much more.
Yes. Finally, Super Smash Bros. For 3DS sold 705,000 copies in 2 days in the U.S. and 2.8 million worldwide.
Woo!
I have a pretty. I think it's safe to say. Well, not safe to say. I would guess that the one on 3DS is probably going to outsell the one on the Wii U.
Well,
Simply
yeah.
because
I can see that.
way more people have
Install
3DSs.
base. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to hear good news for Nintendo.
Yeah, they've been kind of a desert wasteland of
Yeah.
gaming.
Hyrule
So-
Warriors. Either one of you guys tried it?
Nope.
I played it a little bit.
You
It's
like
not
it?
bad. I was talking to Raul about it the other day. Actually, he was Super Smart Gaming. Go check him out. He was saying that it's really good if you have somebody to play with. And that's I'm kind of trying to see if maybe I can get that going because I've been just playing the game by myself and it's kind of
It's Dynasty Warriors, and so it's very repetitive
with
It's
the Zelda skin. Yeah,
with the Zelda skin. So
I've never played Dynasty Warriors, so I jumped into this and I was
did you notice the repetitiveness
it
of
just
it?
drags
Yes.
on a lot.
Yep. You just go to a new pocket of people, kill them. Go to a new pocket of people, kill them.
and it just seems to go on way longer than
Yep.
necessary.
Yep.
But I think with more people it would be kind of cool. I wish
Yeah.
there was online.
Yeah.
So, well, what can you do? All right.
Yep. Next up, Master Chief Collection goes gold.
Woo!
20 gigabyte day one patch in tow.
That's for the multiplayer only. All the
Yes. So
Yep.
it's a 45 gigabyte game on the Blu-ray disc. It basically maxed out the capacity for the disc, and there's a day one patch, 20 gigabytes. Doesn't impact the single player game, so you can throw it in and play it right away. But if you want to get online, you got to download that 20
Correct.
gigabyte.
So I would imagine there's not going to be too many people who don't download that 20
Right.
gigabyte patch.
So short news on that one.
I'm curious though, you guys, since you guys are bigger Halo fans than I am, like I know that when you played Halo, when Halo 1 came out, everybody played the multiplayer, blah, blah, blah. Halo 2 came out, everybody switched over to Halo 2, played the multiplayer. Same thing with Halo 3 and then Halo 4. When this comes out, I know they said they have, 100 multiplayer maps or however much it is.
Right.
The gameplay, though, is it going to be the same throughout all 4 games? Did they adjust that?
Fortunately,
The gameplay in the single player, I think it's going to be identical to how it was originally, but in the multiplayer...
They're going to optimize it. Now, fortunately for Halo, it hasn't really changed the wheel. There's really not a whole lot of variance between the games, honestly, other than like...
So you could potentially be with the same group, play a Halo 2 map, and then go right into a Halo 3 map.
I think they're still going to have like the added like the jetpack and then the shield, the personal shield, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be optimized throughout. I think the big appeal is you're going to get to play truly classic maps. And play, like hundreds of them. I mean, all throughout the franchise. But I think the gameplay is going to be optimized throughout. So you're not going to really get to see the Halo 3 multiplayer. It's all going to be...
You're going to see the most up-to-date one with all the old maps.
I believe so.
Okay. Which is exactly what they
I'm sure one of our producers could tell us.
I could be wrong about that, but I don't see how they're going to be able to integrate it.
No, he's wrong.
For this reason, I don't think you're going to be able to go through it.
Doesn't know.
Yeah. Oh.
Because they're going to have leaderboards.
He knows. Our producer knows what rule set they're using.
Oh.
So we're hearing that each game is going to be its own multiplayer, but the weird thing I have about that is why.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering.
That's weird because they're going to have leaderboards. Obviously, it's Halo. And when there's variants like that, I feel like it's not going to
translate well.
No, yeah, because you're going to be like, well, what do I want to play today? I want to play Halo.
Well, it's not. I don't think this is supposed to be the definitive Halo multiplayer. That's going to be Halo 5 when it comes out next year.
No,
this
but I mean,
is just like a throwback, and there's some people who really liked Halo 2's multiplayer, and some people who thought it was unbalanced.
Correct,
but Halo 3 fixed that.
But honestly, if your friends are all going to be sticking to one, what if you like a different one?
Right.
You're going to want to play with them.
It's going to basically, and I think it's weird too because they're going to have the same problem. I know the Halo community. I subscribe to our Halo on Reddit, and I know they have like Halo 3 days. We're like, guys, everybody log into Halo 3 and play so that we can have people to play with. And if everybody gravitates to say like the Halo 4 multiplayer or like the Halo 3 multiplayer, and people want to play Halo 1, I don't feel like that's going to work out very well. So I'm kind of hoping that they just kind of stretch it all out and say, hey, here's the gameplay, and we're going to give you all the maps.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Yep.
Next up, Steam reaches 100 million active users.
That's
jeez.
Back in January, they made an announcement that they had reached 75 million. Since then, they've added 25 million new to reach this new milestone. This figure was revealed during an update called the Steam Discovery Update, which adds personalized home pages for each user. Steam will now offer smart suggestions for you, kind of like how Netflix tells you what to watch.
Have you seen Steam's new skin and everything?
I haven't looked at it too much yet.
Oh, man. It's really intuitive.
That's cool. Yeah. And it also allows you to customize it further yourself to have it really show you exactly what you want to see. Valve also revealed that they currently have 3,700 games available on the Steam platform. It's a lot of games.
Yeah. Yeah, Steam's getting up to the Facebook level of subscribers.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And finally, Ubisoft locks Assassin's Creed Unity at 30 frames per second. World-level design director Nicholas Gurin reveals Unity will run at 900p 30 frames per second on both PS4 and Xbox One. He claims that 60 frames per second does not create a cinematic feel. Nicholas points to many examples of the industry dropping that standard, including Sony's own Ratchet & Clank series.
Yeah. I agree with him.
I'm not an expert on this, but I read the Reddit comments, which is always scientific, and there's no way they could be wrong. But they said that it's not exactly comparable, a rendered frame versus a frame of film.
Well, you're right.
There's blurring of the image in a captured image that makes it look smooth even when it's lower frame. Whereas if you have perfectly rendered frames, you could get something called the stroboscopic effect, which can be fairly distracting. There's ways to kind of get around that, but who knows? It's not 100%.
My rebuttal to that is 60 frames per second is a more first-person shooter. You've
Right.
got to have it in 60 frames per
Yep.
second. It's a much more smooth feel. You need it for accurate, aiming, shooting. It's got that realistic feel. A game like Assassin's Creed, movies are shot in 27 frames per second. If you didn't know,
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, and you can mimic motion blur with rendered frames. So I like it, and they can lock it, so you won't have huge fluctuations. So I think it'll be good. I do.
We shall see.
Yeah, we shall.
I can't argue with you. I just
I don't know enough
glanced
about
at
it, honestly.
Wikipedia, and that's all that there is to it.
All right.
If someone else knows, they should write us and tell us if it is comparable or not.
Where can they write us at, Mark?
They can write us on Facebook. They can write us on Twitter at FN Gaming.
I was hoping for
FN
the
Pod.
email address. You don't even know our email address, do you?
Wow.
TFN.
He just messed up our Twitter.
TFN is not our email address.
He runs.
It doesn't even have
You
an ad.
scared me. You scared me. You caught me
JJ,
off guard.
You missed it. He
It's
runs our Twitter, and he just messed up on the Twitter. handle.
Frozen North Podcast at gmail.com.
There you go.
What's our Twitter handle? What's our Twitter handle?
FN Gaming. At FN Gaming.
And it's not it, actually.
No,
at
it's
FN
not.
Podcast.
FN Podcast. FNgaming.net.
Is
There
our
you go.
website. Yeah.
You are going to confuse the heck out of some people.
Hey,
Man.
if you need to know that information, rewind to when
To the beginning,
when
when I
JJ
said
said it earlier.
Yeah, genius.
I can get there. It's just my brain has to switch gears, and that's
You got to switch up the brain compartments and brain departments.
Yeah.
All right. Trailer Park Boys reference. if anybody-
TPB.
Is that it for news?
That is.
Good. All right. Brian, give me a noise that represents Diablo 3.
Can I try?
I don't see. I did not get Diablo 3 out of that. Maybe Diablo 1,
Oh.
but not.
I don't wanna try
not 3.
now.
How about this one?
Stay a while and listen.
Good to see you. Okay. Got it. Okay. All right. So, as you, if you've listened to our show the past couple episodes, we've been doing a contest where basically, well, it had to do with Twitter. If you want to hear the details of it, just go listen to those older episodes. But, anyways, the game that was picked for us to play and have beaten by today was Diablo 3. Pretty simple because we all three pretty much had it done. We're going to go ahead and do a review of it now. Real quick, though, before we do, I wanted to share a quick story about mine and
boy.
about Mark.
Uh-oh.
So, Mark got power leveled by his brother. And so he's like really super far and everything like that. And I had played through the main game already once on my character, but I'm pretty low level because I did it all at level. And I hadn't played through the expansion yet. And we decided that was going to be thrown in there. So Mark's like, well, you know what? No problem. I'll run you through there since I'm higher level. It'll be quick. And I'm like, oh, sweet. This will take no time at all. So him and I are on last weekend, and I log in, he logs in. We get into the same party, and I can't make a game. And I'm like, what the heck? Find out that he's a seasonal character, and I'm not. So if you are seasonal, I guess you can't play with somebody who's not,
Yep.
which was kind of a bummer. So I'm like, well, crap. So I have to do this like legit. I have to run through the end of the thing by myself. And Mark's like, I'll make a new character. And I'm like, but yeah, you're going to be level 1. And he's like, well, no, it's fine. It's okay. And I'm like, what? It's okay. I'm going to have to drag you through this. He's like, no, I don't mind. It's okay. It's fine. I'll make a level 1 character. And I'm like, you don't mind that I have to drag you through the rest of this game right here?
I don't
Yeah,
mind.
no, it's cool.
I don't
It's
mind.
all right.
That's cool.
So we go through, we're playing, and he's dying every 2 seconds, and I'm not even worried about him. I'm just letting him get killed because I'm like, no, this is ridiculous. He's like, no, it's fine. I don't mind. I don't mind at all that you have to carry me through this. So I figured next time he goes to an ATM, I want to be standing right next to him and be like, Mark, I'll take $100 out of your account. And then when he says, what, why? And I'll be like, no, I don't mind. It's fine. I'll take that. It's cool.
It's no,
It's totally
fine.
no trouble.
Totally cool.
Arsh.
He's pulling out his wallet.
Oh.
I don't have an ATM
I actually
card.
don't have any money in this wall.
So yeah, I'm so glad that you didn't mind that I had to do all the work.
What? The other option was you make a level 1 character.
And I wasn't going to start the game over again.
Yeah.
Not with a week left. No way.
Basically,
I
I was just trying to tell you what I thought you wanted to hear.
I don't mind, really.
No, it's fine. It's okay that you have to
totally.
do all the work. I don't mind a bit. Thank you for
I was
being
just trying
so
to roll with it
understanding.
because
I
we were
guess.
both frustrated that we couldn't play together. And I was just like, I'll just make it.
So you offered to let me do all the work?
Yeah. And you seemed like you liked the answer.
I mean, it
I
would
was
have
like,
been.
oh man, he likes what I'm saying.
It would have been better if I just started a new character,
Why couldn't you play together?
and because he
Season.
was seasonal and I'm not.
You went seasons.
Yeah,
Because John convinced me to do it.
I quite frankly don't even know what that
Older
means.
brother.
It's basically they have seasons. Season 1's right now.
It's,
But then what happens after the season's over? You
I
lose
don't-
your character?
I don't know. I was just told to do
I don't know.
seasons.
I actually don't know. It's a new thing.
Oh, well, all right then. Well, we won't be reviewing that part of the game pretty
Nah.
much, even though Mark's done it. You see what we have to deal with all the time.
Even when he beats a game, he's just no help.
No clue at all. Well, it was fun, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's a fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. All right, so let's hop into the story. Diablo 3. Brian, what can you tell us about the story of Diablo 3?
Okay, so Diablo 3, if you haven't played Diablo 2 and 1, it's going to kind of go over your head. It takes place after 2. There are 3 prime evils and 5 lesser evils. You basically, in the second game, you, quote, kill, unquote, the prime evils and a couple of the lesser evils. You think they're dead. However, there's still 2 lesser evils creating havoc, Belial and Asmodan.
There's something I've always wondered, though. You're killing these demons, right? Where do they go when they die?
Right. I mean, that's the whole. It's
It's never ending.
no. I mean, the killing of them usually means their souls get trapped in soul stones, etc., etc. But you're on Sanctuary. Sanctuary is that bastion that Lilith and I can't remember the. I'm blanking on the angel's name. You are a Nephilim. Nephilim are the spawn of demon and angel copulation, making them more powerful than both father and mother, just because of their mix and their capacity for both, extreme good and extreme evil. Anyway, this in number 3, you actually get to see a lot of the angels in heaven. You didn't ever get to explore that before. You get to meet like Imperius and he's kind of taking the lead after Malthael kind of disappears.
Yep.
Each of the angels have just like the lesser evils and prime evils have an aspect to themselves. Like Asmodan, he's the warmonger. He's all about the army. He's like the strategist, and Belial's all about deception and all this stuff. Anyway, you traipse through Sanctuary. You're trying to stop the last 2 of the lesser evils. They're warring now that all the prime evils are quote dead, unquote. They're warring over who gets Sanctuary as you would expect evil people to do. As you get there's a couple twists and turns along the way. One of the angels is a real beep. Imperius. He's the what is it? What's his? I can't remember his title. He's like the Wrath. No,
Valor.
Valor. And you get to heaven, and there's a big twist. I don't want to spoil anything since it's a newer game. And then that leads into the expansion. Like I said, Malthael went missing. Malthael was the angel of wisdom and the leader of the angels, but his own aspect led him to kind of because he can see everything. He's wisdom. He kind of fell into despair a little bit.
Yep.
And actually became kind of the incarnate of death in the Reaper of Souls, the expansion. And so that game is all about trying to stop him. There's a black soul stone in the game that houses it's very convoluted story.
Yeah.
You have to go through all of it and kind of delve deep into the lore. Basically, the crux of the story is you're on Sanctuary, you defeat Asmodan, you defeat Belial, eventually Diablo. All their souls gets trapped in the Black Soul Stone. It's an undestroyable stone. The angels hide it in the expansion. Malthael wants to take it to unleash, death upon everything. Stop him.
Basically, the plot of Diablo 3 is we need to go get there fast so we can stop that guy before he does that thing.
It's pretty basic. It's a pretty basic plot, but honestly, it's in Blizzard flair, so it's very.
It's actually a very interesting plot.
It is.
But it is like, okay, this is
When you break it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's a wonderful dungeon crawler game. But that's basically the journalization of the story.
And I will say also, when you do finally beat it, the ending of the expansion, the first thing I said to you was like, I could see them definitely doing another one.
And they will.
There's more here, for sure.
I think it'll be an expansion, or
I think it'll be expansion.
Diablo 4.
I think it'll be another.
I think it'll be expansion. I could see him doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the basic gist. Why don't we talk about pros? What's good about the game? I probably have the shortest list just because I played it the least amount. I mean, I from the get-go, all I could do was compare this game to Diablo 2 because I played that religiously for a long, long time. And not that, comparing it to that is a bad thing because Diablo 2 is great. I didn't play it as much as Diablo 2, but not because I didn't like it as much, but because I had played Diablo 2 so much and it wasn't as big of a departure from it as, to keep me going.
Well, it is
was
now.
something new. It is now. Now
yeah.
it is totally different, and I realized that when I step back into it. Diablo 2, basically, you had left click, right click, and those were your moves. This one, you're adding number keys in. You get to switch those around. You have passive abilities you can assign. There's so much more customization to your character, and I love that about the game. You can be any character, but still do anything in some fashion.
And there's no right or wrong spec.
Correct.
Like, there's no, let me go look at the best spec. It's like, however you want to play,
It's
you can
your
play.
play style. That's what
Yep.
you look for, absolutely. In all honesty, even when you pick your character at the beginning of the game, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but it really doesn't, as far as gameplay goes. Like, for story and background info and that kind of stuff, you're going to want to, think about what you want to do, but every character can pretty much do everything in this game. You want to be a melee, demon hunter, go for it. You want to be a barbarian that uses ranged weapons, by all means, go for it.
Yep.
I think that's one of the cool aspects of it is that anybody can be anything, and that you really can just, if you feel comfortable being somebody who runs in, just beating the crap out of stuff, you can do that. If you feel comfortable being somebody who stays back and shoots at a distance,
Glass
you can do
cannon.
that. It's nice. I really can't say anything as far as new things other than that, just because it really is so similar to the other games in this series, which again isn't a bad thing.
No.
I might think of more, but right now that's the biggest one that stands out to me is the character progression, the character skills. I think it's beautifully done.
Absolutely.
So, Mark?
I got to say, probably the biggest plus for me is just the general aesthetic of the game. What I mean by that is when the game originally came out, it was kind of unpopular. People were really down on it for certain reasons. So I waited and ended up getting Torchlight 2. And I just couldn't get into that game. There was something empty, dry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just the items weren't as interesting. The plot wasn't as interesting. The art style wasn't as engaging. And so when this big update came out and Reaper of Souls came out, I jumped in and played through Diablo, and it is everything that I loved about Diablo 2.
Yep.
And it's intangible, hard to describe little things, just like how the items look, what they're called, what they do. The buffs, the the stat changes that the items do for you were more interesting, required you to think more about your build. It was a lot more fun, and it just seemed like you get more cool items more often, and it's all about running back to town and sorting through everything you got.
It's exactly what a sequel should be. I think Blizzard is doing a beautiful, beautiful job with their sequels on the Diablo series. They are taking what works from the previous game
and building
and
on
expanding upon that. There is a couple of things that I wish they would have kept, which we'll get into when we get to cons.
Right.
But I mean, they're just improving what already works, which
Yep.
is exactly what you should do with a sequel.
Yeah.
And on top of that, right below that, my second favorite thing about it was the character dialogue. And I'm actually glad that JJ wanted to play through Reaper of Souls with me, and I kind of screwed him over a little bit and went ahead of him. But I'm
You
glad.
would have been able to if you went seasons anyway. So
Yeah.
And it was really easy for me to do. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be. And I even
Okay.
upped the difficulty on myself. So
Yep.
But I was going to say I'm glad that I played by myself because I could bring along one of those sidekick characters and hear
Oh, the banter
all kinds
is-
of awesome banter
Yep.
all the time. I played as a crusader
Ooh.
who you would think is going to be this pious, serious character, but he was actually super cocky and confident in himself, and it was hilarious the entire time.
Blizzard's humor is always oozing in their games that is smart.
that was one of the other things I was going to say for pros on here was the amount of information that's in the game to help enrich the world, to give you background story and background info. I mean, you kill a new enemy and a new lore thing pops up, automatically starts reading to you. You don't have to go out of your way to get this stuff. I mean, there's some stuff you can go out of your way to if you want to.
It's right there.
But all this stuff will be just boom right in your face. You don't have to read anything. It's just you just listen to it as you're playing the game, and it's just so very well integrated in the game. I hope you're listening, Destiny.
Yeah.
It's wonderful how they did that. I really, really loved it.
Brian?
I'm gonna skip most of my pros and go to one pro here. It's a Blizzard game, so its pros are going to be story, gameplay, visuals. Blizzard always knocks it out of the park. My biggest pro for this game is the remaster, basically. Blizzard, when they first came out with this game, made a lot of mistakes, a lot of unpopular mistakes. They had a money auction house. They structured the game very much like, if you've played past Diablos, you know that you beat it on normal, and then you have to replay the story on Nightmare, and then you have to replay the story on Hell. It's a ramping up difficulty. And I never really liked that. I didn't like to have to re-progress through the game to get better gear. Like, just give me something else to do. So Blizzard did something really, really ballsy. They basically took their game, went back to the drawing board, and made this completely new Diablo experience out of nowhere. And it is one of the most brilliant 180s I've ever seen in a game. Like, I give Blizzard nothing but props for fixing Diablo 3. Because I had to quit playing after a while on Diablo 3 when it first came out, because it was just, you buy all your gear and you're done.
Yep.
You could say they pulled a Square Enix.
They did.
Not to that extent.
That's true.
Not
nowhere
as
near
not
to that
as
extent.
not as
But having the self-assuredness to say, I'm going to throw away everything we did.
Oh, yeah.
And redo it because you guys are right.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you played the both old and new. I know you didn't, but you played the. Did you like that new system where you sliding scale difficulty gives you the new rewards? You can play the story if you want.
They don't have that. They didn't have that when I played. It was, I was in a game and I just chose a little bar that said raise difficulty.
Right, but there's a sliding scale when you pop out and you go into the character screen. You can always change it.
Right there.
Now,
yeah.
it caps it. You can't go to like the hardest difficulty. It kind of caps
go
it
like
by
Torment
your gear.
10 or whatever.
Right, but I loved it because it let you go, okay, what do you want to do? What's your play style? And then after you get cap level, you can do bounties and rifts. Pro is just way to go, Blizzard, on fixing stuff that
Absolutely.
you had to fix, and they did. They weren't shy about it. They're like, hey, sorry, man, we're gonna fix it. Blizzard always amazes.
Cool. Good stuff. Diablo 3 is a great game. Cons. I'll go again first. I just have one really big con because I really do think the game is phenomenal. My biggest con, and it's something they left out that I wish they would have kept in there. In Diablo 2, you can have up to 8 people playing the same exact game in the same party, and they can be in different acts at the exact same time. Now, it's really not that necessary to have this in the game. For one, I do like the bigger party. I always like more people. More people is always better, in my opinion. But if you're playing in one act and somebody else is playing in another act, it really doesn't matter. You can totally do that with 2 separate games and whisper, whatever. But there's just something about being in the same game world as your friends.
Right.
I mean, if you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. I wish they would have kept that in there. I think that was a really neat feature because your buddy could be playing in another act. You could be like, I can't beat this boss. Can you hop over and help me real quick? He can jump over, help you kill the guy, and then just go right back through the waypoint to where he was. I wish they would have kept that in there. And I don't understand why they didn't.
When they can have 4 people.
Yeah, only 4.
Yeah.
But I mean, 8 people was awesome.
Yeah.
That was going to be my con as well. It didn't really come into play much with me, especially for the actual playthrough of the game, but the post-end-game stuff, I kind of wish I could have more than 4 people with me, because I know more than 4 people who play the game sometimes at the same time. I'd like to have them all so we could have a really good time. But, I mean, 4 is all right, I guess.
Then again, it is really easy to get a full party together for a LAN party or something.
Yeah.
Which is how I went through it when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
Any cons, Brian?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if they fixed it, but that damn enchanter. It is very frustrating to save up legendary mats and reforge a stat and get the exact same stat. I don't like RNG when it comes to...
How did it work before? What happens now is you re-roll, and then it gives you 3 choices to choose from. Was it just one before?
It was 2 choices before.
Well, now it's 3.
But what I always said was, what Blizzard should do is whatever stat you're reforging, they should not give you that option, because you obviously don't want that stat.
Yeah.
So don't make me waste a ton of gold and a ton of mats and give me. So hey, I don't want resist all. I'm looking for crit percent. Don't So I have, because you can get higher, resist all. Okay, take resist all out of the equation. Now I know that some people are going to say, "Well, but Brian, what if you want to roll better resist all?" Okay, maybe give me that at the very bottom, like a better roll for resist all, and then 2 of the not resist all stats. But I've done it before where I'm like, okay, I have resist all, I want to get crit, and I got resist all. Like, I hated that. That's my only con, really. Just RNG when there's some things that shouldn't be RNG. You should have choice on what you're forging if you're spending that much mats. And the gem system, God, getting those good gems are just so hard. But that's just I'm griping really at this point.
All right. We should also probably mention I played it on the PC. You played on the PC. You played on the PC as well.
PC.
So we all played it on PC. It's on PS3, PS4, Xbox 360.
I've heard nothing but good things about it on the consoles.
As have I. And honestly, if it was cheaper, I might check it out as well. I just don't want to pay full price for a game I already have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your standard dungeon crawler. If you've ever seen any Diablo games, it looks the exact same way. It's just better. It's improved. Yep. It is a step up. I honestly, like, even coming from me, who I played, like I said, played Diablo 2 religiously, and because of that didn't play this game as much, I can't recommend this game enough. If you're going to join the series and you want to start with one of the games in the series, it's going to spoil you if you want to eventually go back to the others, but this is the game to play if you're only going to play one.
Agreed.
Yeah, if you don't buy a Blizzard game, then
what about Titan Quest?
Titan Quest it's good, but it's not as like action packed.
Yeah,
I would say it's a lot slower paced.
Buy Diablo 3. If you don't, you're dumb.
There you have it.
There you have it.
Anyone who doesn't have it's dumb.
Yeah.
Make sure to send your hate mail to
yeah.
frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com.
So I think it's safe to say we all recommend Diablo 3 heartily.
Recommendation.
100%.
Cool. All right, let's get into our top 5.
Top 5.
We are going old school.
The school of old.
We are going old school today. We're talking regular Nintendo
Entertainment System.
Our top 5 NES games. We are actually going to start off a little bit different with the top 5 this time. And it's something I'd like to do a little bit forward. We're going to do some honorable mentions. Not going into too much depth, but just kind of
list some games.
List them out. Do you guys have any honorable mentions for the NES?
Metroid and Metroid 2.
Solid. Didn't you want to say Mega Man? All of them?
I did, but I stick by my choice.
Aside from Metroid, you guys got all the other ones I would have mentioned.
Oh, well, all right.
Good.
Man, you guys, terrible. I got DuckTales.
Amazing
classic. Game.
Mm-hmm.
Adventures of Lolo, if you ever like puzzle games, that's a phenomenal one. What?
Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
Yes.
Excellent game right there.
Great
Absolutely.
Game.
Wizards and Warriors, phenomenal side-scroller. Unbelievable. Battletoads, Mark.
Yeah, Battletoads, yeah.
Battletoads.
Brian said he wouldn't let me pick that.
You can't put games on your list you have not beaten.
I'm going to have to retire.
Skate or Die.
Ooh.
If anybody has played that. Really solid game.
I mean, it's not really story-based, but can we get a little Excite
Paperboy.
Bike?
It is a story mode.
Excite Bike?
It does have a story mode.
Excite Bike.
Excite Bike, yeah. Absolutely. Great game. I've got Punch Out on here.
Marble Madness.
Paperboy.
Paperboy.
Yeah.
Yep. Marble Madness.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. The original first Ninja Turtles games.
Oh, yeah.
I know that not many people like the first one, but
It was
because it was
hard.
so difficult, I loved it. And because I was such a Ninja Turtles fan.
Mm-hmm.
The stupid underwater seaweed
Holy crap.
It's like, I better have 3 guys left because I'm going to lose 2 of them
that
going through
part
this thing.
was like Battletoads and the speeders.
Yep.
Battletoads and Double Dragons.
Double Dragon, yeah.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Contra.
Contra, yeah, absolutely, of course.
Contra.
Konami Code, that was the only way to beat that
Yeah,
freaking
absolutely.
game.
That was a difficult game, too.
So we just listed off a ton
Metal
of
Gear.
phenomenal games. Metal Gear, yeah, definitely. We just listed off a ton of phenomenal games here.
So you can only imagine how phenomenal.
This was the toughest list that I have had to do so far.
This was a tough list.
Right here for me. And I mean, probably because I love retro stuff, but our lists are actually quite similar in a lot of ways.
Really, because, I mean, these are like the definitive editions of the
Especially
games.
Brian and I. Brian and I have 4 of the same games on our list. Not in the same places, but for the same games. That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised by the absence of a certain game on your list, JJ.
When you get to it, I will explain.
Okay.
Because I think it's an amazing game. I do. But, well, we'll get to it. I started last time, I think. Who wants to start?
I'll go.
All right, Brian, kick it off.
My number 5 is Super Mario Bros. 2. People are going to be like, what? I've loved the game. I know it was supposed to be like Doki Dori over in Japan, that they kind of like just put a Mario skin on randomly. And it did a lot of things that people were like, Mario, what the heck? You can play as Peach? What the heck? You can play as Toadstool? And then you had that whole aspect of picking up things and throwing them. Mm-hmm. And the last boss was Mauser. Where's Bowser? There's Mauser and Bowser. Yep. Anyway, and it introduced so many awesome aspects of the game. I just remember my favorite part of those games were digging down to get the key. When the little head, when you finally get the key, so you got to dig down carefully because there's those those turtles walking around, and you had to make sure you dug to the point where they didn't trap you. And then once you got down there, you pick up the key, and the heads come alive, and you got to jump up as fast. Oh man, that gives me goosebumps thinking about those times when you and your friends were like, go, go, go.
These games were tough. Now, there are games today that are tougher, but back then you couldn't save your game and just pick up where you left off. You died, you were starting over.
Yeah.
Like, it was brutal.
But yeah, Super Mario Brothers 2, I loved it. I loved the just change in pace that it had from the original Mario.
Absolutely. And it was one of the first games, at least that I can remember, where you could pick and play as a character based on the playstyle that you wanted to go with.
And they all had different aspects. Obviously, Peach was the most popular because she could float. Mm-hmm. Mario could jump the highest. Toad could...
Mario was the most well-rounded.
Mario.
Luigi had the really far
far jump, and then Toad could pick things up really quick.
He was fast, yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a really cool game.
It was a big step up.
I loved Super Mario Bros. 2.
Solid choice. Mark, number 5.
My number 5 is Blaster Master. What a great game.
I never played it, to be
You've
honest.
never played Blaster Master?
I never did.
You seriously have never played Blaster Master?
I don't think I did.
So in this game, you play as a little kid who's got a pet frog who leaps away from him and gets in toxic waste and transforms into a giant radioactive frog. And you decide to jump down in the hole, and as an 8-year-old, you obviously have a giant tank.
As we all did.
Just in your backyard.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had one.
So you jump in this tank, and the game, there's two different aspects to the game. There's essentially the overworld where you're driving around in your tank, which, by the way, can hop. It's a tank that can jump and also drive.
Oh, mine could too. Yep.
And then you can get out of the tank and go into these overhead maps where it's sort of more like the perspective of a Zelda game, which was kind of scary to be outside of your tank because you don't have as much health, and it's just not as good of a game when you're outside of the tank. But it's
I imagine it's easier to kill things with a tank.
Yes.
Okay.
You want to be in the tank. So when you're in the tank, it plays a lot like a Metroid game where it's all about going through the stages, acquiring new items. The new items allow you to go to places you couldn't go before. Eventually you get a double jump on your tank, and that means you have to go all the way. That means you can go all the way back to the beginning of the game, and it turns out that there's more levels up above, right where you start. You can jump up and reach new areas. And it was one of the first games that did that, where you start thinking non-linearly, because Nintendo era games were, frankly, extremely linear.
Well, yeah.
You just keep moving. If it's a side scroller, you just keep going to the
Hardware
right.
limitations, obviously.
Yep.
But games like that, man, those were always on the top of my list.
Solid. My number 5 is Super Mario Brothers 3. Man, this is a great game, and it was really, really
terrible game.
Difficult for me not to put this higher up on my list because this is a piece of gaming history right here.
Classico, movie classico.
It really is. This is still, in my opinion, one of the best Mario games ever created, hands down to this day. Plus, do you guys ever see The Wizard?
I was going to say that when I talked about it later.
Spoilers. I won't go too much because it's later on also, but this is, we'll just say right now, this is another step up for the Mario franchise.
Yeah, another
from
big,
the other two.
big leap.
Absolutely.
Great game. All right, Brian, number 4.
Brian, number 4.
Oh, and mine.
Mega Man 2.
Mega Man 2.
I had to pick. I originally put all Mega Mans on the NES on there because they all are pretty much the same game, just with different bosses. Yeah, until it gets to Mega Man X, it doesn't really change the formula. It's just
no.
It's just a
Mega
bunch
Man 3 is very different than Mega Man 2.
of, how?
The amount of bosses you fight.
Okay, so there's more bosses, but
I think it
the
just means the gameplay
the
mechanics. and
gameplay
stuff.
is identical.
They
Yes.
are different though because Mega Man 2 is a vast upgrade from Mega Man 1.
You're right, but the way you play, I mean, they don't change the wheel; they just change the bosses. In the first game, there's only a few bosses, and then you go, fight Dr. Wily and have a good old time.
Don't you have to go through an entire castle
Yes.
in the third one?
The reason I picked the second game, though, I narrowed it down, is because that's the one I played the most of. That's the one that.
Me too.
That's the one that had the mission where you're on those 3 little tiny in the last area. Remember how hard that last area was? Mm-hmm. You're on the 3 little tiny blocks and you gotta fight that dragon.
Oh, I hate that stupid fight.
Oh my god! But
That game was tough.
But
But when you beat it,
you just feel so good.
yeah.
But Mega Man that revolutionized. Cut Man. You go in and you fight this guy you shoot saw blades at you, and then you get that power. You guys basically get the power, and then you don't realize it as a kid. But that's what started the whole there's a pattern.
Yep.
Because if you remember, I didn't
Certain
know this.
powers work on other
Playing
on
the
certain
first
people.
game, I didn't realize it, but you got in the second game, you got Cut Man, and you went and fought the guy with the leaves, and those saws just
Rip right
chunked
through 'em.
his. You're like,
Yep.
So then it became a game of, okay, what hurts what, and then it became easier as you figured out the pattern. Oh
Absolutely.
man, think how revolutionary that was, and mind you, MIDI music, that music was phenomenal
Yeah,
for
it
the
was.
game and basic beep 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 boop boop boop.
It's the first Mega Man game that I ever played, and that's why it's my number 4. It's my favorite in the series, hands down, and that's including all the ones that followed it as well. If you've never played a Mega Man game before, I think 2 is the one to start with. To this day, still, it defines Mega Man and what he can do, what he's all about. And honestly, I never really thought about it, but Mega Man actually has some pretty interesting lore as
Yes.
well. If you are curious about it, go to YouTube and check out the channel is the Happy Console Gamer. It's my favorite YouTube channel ever. But there's an episode where a friend of his does an entire 2-part episode devoted to the entire series of Mega Man, and this guy knows everything top to bottom, and he goes into the lore, talks about the different robots, the different scientists, just goes crazy and gives you so much info, and it's really, really interesting.
Yep.
And Mega Man 2, it's just got such great memories for me. I remember when I bought it, I had just done my communion. I was in 2nd grade, and I had a boatload of money that I had gotten. And my dad was like, "We're gonna put it in the bank," and I was like, "Can I buy one game, please?" And he's like, "All right, one." And Mega Man 2 is the game that I bought, and I have not regretted it to this day because it's such an amazing game.
It's kind of like an iconoclast of games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll always sit among
Now that said, I love the X series way better. I thought the X series was tenfold better, obviously.
Sure.
Just based on that, but as far as NES games, Mega Man 2 was. I spent so many hours playing that, and I had papers list a whole giant paper of all the codes you had to write down when you got further and further. Do you remember those?
I never did that. I always played it beginning to end.
Oh, see, we had to do it because
yeah, I forgot about that.
you had to write down
never
all the
used
codes,
I just always started over.
and each code was
I know.
it was that man memories.
Mega Man 2, my number 4. Brian's number 4. Mark, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Final Fantasy,
Crazy.
and somebody doesn't even have it
It
on
is
their list.
Not on my list.
I never
know.
played
That's
it.
crazy to
I know.
me.
I never played it on the NES.
The reason and obviously it's Final Fantasy, I like it. I didn't even get this on the NES until I was in my mid-20s.
Nice.
I love the game. It's hard
it is
as all
extremely
get
hard.
out, incredibly hard. It's I got to get spells for my mages. Okay, let me go grind a little bit. Okay, I need 400 gold. I'll do a fight and I'll get 5 gold out of it. This is not going to take a while at all. Sweet. I love the game. I
Yep.
just like it in the later versions when it's a little bit easier. That's
Yeah.
all. And it's a great piece of gaming history, but the games that I have on my list really hit me in the nostalgia buttons.
Right.
And so I just couldn't put it on my list because of that. I'm
That
not
makes
not
sense.
diminishing it. I love it. I
Right.
just don't have the history that I do with these other games.
For me, we had the Nintendo Entertainment System, obviously, in our household. But for a long time, that meant we're going to play Duck Hunt, Mario, Super Mario Brothers 3, etc. And then all of a sudden this game comes out that has an entire world in it, not just little stages. You walk out in the world, and there's this fantasy story to it, and you've got a cast of characters. You're not just one guy running around. That was huge. What other game before that? I mean, I'm sure there's games. What games had you played before an RPG like that, where you had an entire team that you managed as a whole?
Dragon Quest.
Well, there you go. But
Sorry.
But for me, the NES has been I'm playing a character.
No, I
Now all of a sudden I've got a party, and I've got this entire world at my disposal, and eventually I get a boat and an airship, and I get to go fight all these minions that are ruining the world, and it had that time travel aspect to it. It was something that grew, that pushed the horizons of what I could imagine
was
a game
revolutionary.
being. Exactly.
Yeah,
I couldn't see a game being that big.
It saved SquareSoft.
Yep.
I mean, it literally saved the company. It was that's why it's called Final Fantasy. It was their last ditch.
Yeah.
Their last chance at making a good game.
And now they've got 15 of them.
Right?
So it was just it changed me as a gamer. So that's why it's on the list.
Great choice. Number 4, Mark, Final Fantasy. Brian, number 3, sir.
My number 3 is Super Mario Brothers 3. JJ kind of summed it up. Another game in the Mario franchise. It just is like, whoa, world map, whoa. I get to kind of see where I'm going here. You had that 2-player. This is the game that introduced the suits, the lovable suits that you get, like the raccoon suit and the. I guess you could technically say the fire flower suit was the first one, but it was good.
It was pretty good.
It was the first game in the series that would let you, like, basically play how you wanted to. Like, you could warp to other worlds in the other ones, but this one, like, you could literally go back to levels if you wanted to, which was cool. Mm-hmm. I mean, I
really appreciated Mario. I really appreciated Mario Brothers 3 because it kind of like built on the lore that was Mario. I know Mario Brothers is an Italian plumber fighting a mutant turtle dragon, but
did you guys see the movie The Wizard before Mario Brothers 3 came out?
I don't think so.
I don't remember
because that's how they announced the game, was with the movie.
Really,
like, it came out before the game, and that's how they announced it. And I will never forget watching that movie for the first time. Be like, 3, like, because that's the whole premise is like they're going to play this unknown game and blah 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 blah, and they don't know what it is, and it's Super Mario Bros. 3 at the end, and just like it blew me away. It was so cool.
Yeah, I got it for Christmas, and I was like,
stuff.
Super Mario Brothers 3, and I like hit the box with my head.
That's a nice story.
Yay!
All right, so Mark, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Chrysalis. And I guess you guys haven't played Chrysalis either.
Nope.
I have watched your brother play it.
All right, so imagine if you could take Zelda, one of the best games for the NES, and add a little bit more polish, put a bigger, more detailed world to it, and just expanded the gameplay a little bit. That's what you get with Chrysalis, essentially. It's a clone of Zelda, but it's an extremely well done clone with some nice changes. You get 4 different swords with 4 different elements attached to them. Mm-hmm. You get bracelets that increase the power of those elements in those swords. The swords also they take on like a Metroid aspect to them where, I need this sword to freeze that water so that I can cross it and get to the other side of this map that I couldn't get to before.
It seemed like it was a little bit faster paced.
It was,
Zelda as well.
It was a little bit faster paced.
Yeah.
And this isn't going to mean anything to you guys, but if any listeners are listening, just remember the poison forest. That was an incredible concept in a game at that time. I'm not going to explain it. You go look it up. You play it for yourself because it's awesome. If you haven't played it,
it's awesome.
Find a way to play it. I'm not going to say what to do, but you know what to do. You know how to play it.
You drink the poison, obviously.
Obviously, duh.
Good.
Cool. Solid choice. Yeah, your brother loved that game as well. He downloaded that and Chrono Trigger at the same time.
Nice.
And oddly enough, he was playing that more. He had never played Chrono Trigger before either.
Man.
Once he got into Chrono Trigger, obviously he was
that's good.
Those are both off running. But okay, cool. My number 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game.
the port, I guess you could say.
Yeah. If you ever have been to an arcade game, and especially in the late 80s, early 90s, and you saw that Ninja Turtles arcade
You always
machine,
have to stand in line.
yeah. And if you didn't, it was like Christmas. That game was so awesome to play with people.
How much money do you think our parents dropped into that for us?
I don't even want to know.
I know.
I could have bought one of those machines
Yeah,
easily.
I know.
It is such an incredible game, especially if you have somebody to play with. It was such a huge step up from the first one, mostly because it was actually beatable. The first one was just way too hard. But the game itself was, you're going through levels one by one, you're fighting bosses, and if you're a fan of the show like I was back at that time,
man.
it was just, you saw all the characters that you knew and loved.
It was a kidgasm.
It really was. It was like, back then, playing that was like how I am now playing Dragon Ball Z games. I'm just like, oh, it's Rocksteady right there. I'm taking him out. You know, you're fighting Rocksteady while a building's burning around.
Yeah,
you.
I still never remember the drill. I still will never forget the drill coming up, and he
Yes.
pops out, and
Absolutely.
you're just like, oh my god.
April's in the background,
Yeah.
like, save me. It's
Yeah.
incredible. And then you jump out the window when you beat him.
Now a lot was lost in translation. The arcade game was markedly better,
Sure.
especially because it was 4-player.
Yep.
At the arcade, but that they did a really good job of scaling it down a little bit and bringing it over to the NES. And it was an NES game. It was basically a Double Dragon clone.
Yep.
With Ninja Turtle skin.
Hands down, one of the best arcade to console ports that I've ever seen.
Yeah. You remember the snow level?
Yeah, difficult.
Yeah.
Very
Oh, yeah.
difficult, but very good.
Yep.
The game was just great. So that's my number 3, Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game.
Yep.
Brian, number 2.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. For pretty much all the reasons JJ said. It was like as a kid, I had the Technodrome. I had all these toys. My favorite turtle was Leonardo because he had
Mine was as well.
because he had the katanas. Man, but I always picked Donatello on the game because he had the staff and he could reach for further.
Yeah, I liked him too.
Yep.
But just getting to fight all the enemies, like you got to fight Baxter, you got to fight Bebop and Rocksteady, obviously Krang, Shreddle,
I had to rent that game.
the Rat King,
Leatherhead.
Leatherhead.
Do you remember being kids with no income, no money, no ability to like own a game?
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah, we had a video rental store like right around the corner from
Saving
here.
it,
It was
yeah.
nice.
I think that's where I played most of my games. Was we rented it from Blockbuster back when
Yep,
Blockbuster was the thing.
Very cool. All right. That's such a great game.
Oh man,
It really was.
I
Still
really
is to
want
this
to. I
day.
want to play it again just to remember.
Yeah, I got it somewhere.
Yeah. I would actually drop decent money if I could find a working arcade of that game.
I've thought the same thing.
I
Yeah,
would.
absolutely.
That would be like the one arcade game I would buy and keep in my
probably
house.
DIY it. That means do it yourself.
I don't want to do it
Like
myself.
I'm sure you can
you
emulate
could,
it.
buy like a arcade cabinet with a emulator.
Mark, you ruin
And then
everything.
just get the board for it.
Yeah,
Probably. Yeah.
you should do that.
Got to have
Brian.
4 people though, 4 controllers.
Yeah.
That way you can play with 4 people.
Do you remember the boss in that game? Just to digress a little bit, that his mask would come off and fly around, and you were fighting him. I remember that one to this day.
That
It
was annoying.
So hard.
Yeah, that was annoying.
Yeah, that boss. I can't remember his name, but
I'm not sure, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, moving along. Mark, number 2, sir.
My number 2 is JJ's number 2.
Oh, hey, it is. Yep, that's our number 2. And actually, and Brian's number 1. We may as well throw that in there as well.
yeah,
Legend of Zelda.
The Legend
The-
of Zelda.
The Legend of
The
Zelda.
Legend of Zelda.
That is the song. Yep. This is still to this day one of the most influential games of all time.
Oh yeah,
Hands down. There's really nothing else like it on the NES.
it's dangerous to go alone. Please take this sword.
I mean, you go in, you're buying equipment, you're upgrading your stuff, you're finding these levels that you can do you can do a few of them out of order.
Yeah,
But I like, we talked about this when we reviewed the new Zelda on 3DS. You had to get certain items in order to access certain areas.
like the raft, the ladder.
It was like the world was one big puzzle in addition to being a big adventure.
The amount of exploration was palpable.
It was very, very, very cool. to this day I still love that game so much, and I actually do. Because it's on my 3DS now, I go back to it every now and then and just screw around, go do the first 2 levels or something like that.
Yep.
And,
Go find the Master Sword.
Absolutely, yeah, it's good stuff. What do you guys anything to say about it?
I mean, number one, it was that game that you could just go anywhere, do anything. It didn't have, like you said, the side scrolling. It was like go anywhere. Oh, okay. And it was just like a gasm of like colors. That game was, for some reason, way more colorful. And come on, can we talk about the gold cartridge?
I was just about to say.
Oh,
just
my
about to say.
God.
Just when you pull that out and you're like,
Yeah, it felt like you had treasure in your hands.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, and everybody could always pick it out in your collection because it'd be like,
Yeah, if you've got a collection of 30 to 40 games and you see, which I had that at one point.
He's looking at our producer.
They're around here somewhere.
Yeah.
But you see a person with a big collection of Nintendo games, and every time you see that gold cartridge, that's
exactly
what you're going
what
to
it
get
is.
drawn
Yeah.
to.
Gray, gold.
Yeah, it's
That's
like,
the one I
what's
wanna play.
This one. Yeah, absolutely.
And like the dungeons and bosses were just like, wasn't it the first game that introduced the battery save system where internal saving?
I don't know if it was the first game to do it, but it was definitely the first one that I played that did.
Probably
Yeah.
the most prominent.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember I would get through a dungeon almost all the way, and I would start to hear the boss.
It would be
And
roaring.
I would get scared. I
Yeah.
would want to like leave. The
Yeah, you remember the Stegosaur or the Triceratops boss?
Yep.
Put the bombs in his mouth.
I think you have to fight 3 of them at one point.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Oh man, it's such a great game, and you have to think this is also back at a time when there was no internet.
Right.
So having to solve all these puzzles and do all these things, you were just going off your gut, or if
Or
you
your
had
friends,
that
yeah.
would tell you like, "Oh, bomb
Like,
that spot on
go
the wall."
go light that tree on fire.
It was
okay.
not.
Yeah.
It was not easy to do back then. I mean, now obviously everybody can do it in their sleep, but it's just such a wonderful piece of gaming history. It really is. If you haven't played the original Zelda and you're a Zelda fan at all, treat yourself. Check it out. Just see where it all started, where it all came from.
Yeah.
Can't say enough good things about it. So, Legend of Zelda, that would be my number 2, Mark's number 2, Brian's
My number one is The Legend of Zelda. We just said it, so over to you.
Yep. Mark, what's your number 1, sir?
My number 1 hasn't been mentioned at all.
Maybe twice.
It's Super Mario Bros. 3.
Woo!
That is a game that has infected my mind.
With
I
what?
It's just I remember things about that game. I remember being a kid, and you don't make your own rules when you're a kid. I had a certain amount of time I could play the game. I had like it's 7:00, no more game time for the night. And there was no saving in that game, so me and my brother would have to plan ahead. We're like, okay, tomorrow's Saturday. You have to do this. I have to do this. We'll keep the game running all day. If we have to leave, we'll just leave the console on. Hopefully, it won't overheat. And this time, we're gonna beat the game. And we'd always inevitably get to that final part of the game where you're on the flying ships, and then it'd be bedtime, and we would have to turn it off.
Funny fact, I read the other day that those flying ships represented Bowser's Navy, Army, Air Force, and Marine Corps.
Interesting.
Yeah, because there was a flying one, there was a boat one, and then there was the tank one.
Good point. Yeah,
really
you're
funny.
right.
Yeah.
Here's one of the things that kind of hits me the hardest, and I'm sure this is probably not the case with a lot of people, especially people who are younger now. But like nowadays, when I play games, I don't know if it's just because I've been a gamer for so long or what, but like, sure, I think games are amazing. And I look and I see awesome visuals, or I see, like, wow, that was a really cool cutscene or something like that. Back then, it was such simple things that would absolutely blow your mind away. And I'll give you the perfect example right here. Do you guys remember the very first level in Super Mario Bros. 3? When you're going through, you get all the way about 3/4 through the level. You can jump on that brick,
And then,
you duck,
yep.
and then boom,
That's how you get to the...
you're behind the level.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. You're right.
The first time I saw that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
It was like you were breaking the game.
Yep.
Yeah, it was incredible, and that's something that you needed to do to access this secret area and get through it easier. I mean, it blew me away, and it was something so simple, and now, it takes so much more to hit me
Yeah.
in any sort of, capacity like that. I'm seeing Final Fantasy 15 trailers where they're, driving along while this huge, 20-foot or 20-story monsters like coming at them and stuff like that, and it's like that's looks pretty cool, stuff like that. Back then, just ducking behind a box hit me 1,000 times harder.
Well, we're already in diminishing returns as far as graphics are concerned, so I think that's
and exactly. And I'm not talking just graphics. I'm just talking gaming in general. Gaming. Those moments that hit you because it's like I've never seen that before. That's amazing.
It's kind of like gaming was an unexplored frontier back then, and now there's nothing left for us to discover really.
I mean, it's just we're basically just rehashing everything nowadays, which is not bad because we're improving. We still certainly are.
Well,
but we're not seeing as many new things.
I think we have to look at it like you just said. Now, I won't say that we were the generation of the beginning of gaming because that was the generation just before us.
Yeah.
When the Atari and the ColecoVision and the the Pong came out, but that was like the test phase. I think we came along. It's kind of like if you were alive when movies just started, motion picture. Little things would amaze you because that was literally never. It was such a new medium, and now that movies are so old that it's like I said with gaming, it's more and more. Just okay, I've seen that before.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the same thing we're experiencing. We came along at a time when gaming was so young and so new,
right?
That we were kind of in the middle of the revolution of gaming.
It's almost like gamers have a dialogue with the games they're playing, and we have an established language that we speak with the game.
Yep.
Like we understand now that there's something called contextual menus, where you walk up to something and you push a button and it does what it's supposed to do.
Yep.
But at some point that had to be decided.
Yes.
That's how it was going to work. And I'm guessing when we first experienced that was something amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel very, very fortunate to have been able to experience that when I was a kid and see that stuff all firsthand, because it really, I don't see that many moments now. And again, that could just be maybe kids who are brand new gamers and stuff like that are getting those kind of feelings and stuff like that. And if so, awesome, great. But to see this stuff in its birth, is just so freaking cool.
And they are. I mean, they are, because think about it. We came along. Think of the movies we saw when we were kids. Movies have been around for decades and decades and decades before we were born, and we still experienced our great fun kid movies.
Sure.
Great. So,
however, to argue against that, think about the people that were seeing movies for the first time. That when the movie was projected on the wall and they saw a train coming at them, they actually thought they were going to get hit by a train. Right. And people were like running and trying to get out of the way of it. No kids had that experience.
No.
Because kids understand what they're watching.
No, but we still revere the movies we saw as kids highly,
Yeah, but seeing a movie, he's saying seeing a movie for the first time and thinking it's incredible is not the same as...
That. You're right. That must have been a bit of a holy crap moment.
Right. And I'm not trying to say kids are jaded and spoiled. That's like lightning in a bottle that you never get back.
No.
You just had to be there.
Absolutely. Well, we got one left. My number one. My number one is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Not, at least to my knowledge, not a very sought after or well known game. Without me even knowing, this was the first RPG that I ever played.
Really?
I had no idea what an RPG was at the time. My aunt just knew that I was a fan of the movie. If you've ever seen the movie from the 80s, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Kevin Costner.
And Morgan Freeman. I still love that movie to this day.
It's a classic.
Great. That's what it's based on. And you had your major battles that you would get into. You would all of a sudden, the screen would change from the overhead Zelda-like view to your characters would all be mini, and then you would see just waves of enemies coming at you, and you'd have to take them out one by one and stuff like that, and you get experience points and levels up. I had no idea what levels were at that point. I was just like, oh, I kill more guys and I get stronger. Sweet. And that was it. Mm-hmm. You couldn't save your game, which was awful because the game was really long. I did eventually beat it once. It had duels, one-on-one duels as well.
Nice.
And like I said, it had the overworld, the Zelda-esque type thing. It was just so far ahead of its time. And, I mean, like I said, my aunt just bought it for me on a whim. Just said, oh, you like the movie? Here's the game. And my favorite NES game, by far. It was a no-brainer for me to pick this one.
Yeah.
If you ever get the chance to see it in action... The graphics are not going to wow you, not at all, but the gameplay, and this is just something that I hold near and dear to my heart because it blew me away when I played it. So my number one NES game of all time is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Very nice.
And there you have it.
And there you has it.
Cool. Nice little trip down memory lane.
Yeah, a little trips.
Good stuff.
Tripstalgia.
That's my kind of show right there. I love it.
NES. The old NES.
All right, real quick, let's wrap things up with a bi-weekly question. This week we asked, when it comes to gaming, are you a collector? Meaning, like, do you collect games, hold on to them, display them, or do you beat games and then sell them back on Amazon or eBay or something like that? We got a couple of responses on the forum. I'll read those really quick. Shinoy says, when I was younger, I made the mistake of selling my collection of SNES RPGs to buy a Nintendo 64. It ended up collecting dust as I played the PS1. Since then, I don't sell games I enjoy. It took me a long time to repurchase the games I sold. Even if you don't play it regularly, having a beloved game in your possession is like keeping an old friend around. I agree 100%. 100 and million percent. 100 million percent, yes. Rockstar says, yes, I'd consider myself a collector now. I used to sell games when I was done with them, like Secret of Mana. Terrible. Which I ended up buying back and selling again about 3 times. Why would you get rid of it at all? Eventually, I learned my lesson, and I don't sell games unless I'm absolutely sure I'm never going to want to play it again. What about you guys?
I don't sell games anymore.
Well, you can't sell digital games. So.
Right. Well, I don't sell digital. I mean, even games I've purchased physically, I don't sell them just because I don't get enough back. I'm not gonna sell this game that I bought for $60 for $20.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then have part of what I need to buy a new game. But I guess that's because I don't need to. Also, I have money.
Yeah,
I can
that
buy
have a job now.
Yeah, I used to sell games like you have to remember, as a kid, we didn't have income, so the only way to get that income was to sell your possessions at a GameStop. So back when I was a kid, I'd sell like my bulk of games for another one game because it's the only way I could do it. Now that I have a steady job, any game that I really like or part of a series, I keep. So there are the occasional ones I'm like, ugh, I'm sell.
You guys know me. I'm a collector, big time. I've got around, I'd say, 500 games so, maybe more.
You and my brother mount games.
Just massive, massive collection. It's ridiculous. I can't bear to, I mean, call me a hoarder, call me what you want, but I just can't bear to sell that stuff. I sold one game, Breath of Fire 1, for the Super Nintendo, and I felt terrible afterwards. I just recently bought it again, but I felt absolutely horrible when I sold it the first time, and I don't even remember what I bought with the money that I got for it. But I love collecting. I love being able to display what I have, and eventually I'll get a display of a picture of my collection and put it up on Twitter or something. But I love collecting games. And as far as collector's editions and stuff go, I typically only do that for games that I really like. Final Fantasy, Tales series. That's about it. Beyond that, I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, I bought the Halo 3 collector's edition and was super psyched about it for like 2 months. Then the giant oversized Master Chief helmet that I had sat at my parents' house when I went to college. When I came back,
what are you going to do with it?
I left it at my parents' house. My dad wanted me to get rid of it. I eventually traded it to Brian because he wanted it more than I wanted it, and he gave me a game in return.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to own like physical things and show off a collection. I like to own. I don't like to sell my games though because I want to be able to play them whenever I want to play them. So for me, it's just about having them at my fingertips.
Yeah,
I hear you. All right. Well, in 2 weeks, our next episode, the question that I want to ask, we haven't been getting too many emails lately. I really, really want people to answer this, whether it be on the forum, on Facebook, Twitter, email us, whatever. I really would like to get answers on this one. So if you have not answered any of our bi-weekly questions, please jump on this one and just shoot us what you think, because I really, really would like to know. So we're looking to do a YouTube channel eventually, and I know what I want to do for it. I have a basic idea, but I really would like to get some outside input as well to know what people want to see on it, and that way I'm not just, a bunch of self-service and just doing what I want to do, which mostly it'll be anyways, because I'm running the thing.
Yep.
But like, I really, I would like to at least try to cater to, our audience as well, and do what I can to make some sort of an entertaining show. So what would you like to see in a Frozen North YouTube channel? Whether it be, let's plays or just reviews, or you just want to hear us, BSing about old times or whatever. All ideas are welcome. Good, bad, big, small, anything. Just write in frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us what you think. I really, really want to hear from people on this. So that's it. Anybody else have anything else for this week?
No, man. Play some games.
That's it.
Play them games.
Solid.
Yo, God,
Shadow of Mordor is pretty good. You should play it.
Apply it.
Apply it.
There you go. I just realized we didn't even say what we were playing this week.
I had been playing nothing because I was in Florida, so.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I'm happy that you guys listened to the show today.
I've been playing Phantasy Star 2, and it's brutal.
Ooh.
It's really
You
grindy.
got through 1, though. If you can get through 2, it starts to go...
That's what I hear. We'll see. It's really grindy. You guys have anything else to add?
No, nothing adding.
No.
I can subtract things, though.
With that, this is the Frozen North signing off for episode 48. My name is JJ.
My name is Mark.
And my name is Brian.
And as always, thank you for listening and keep on gaming.
Our theme song was made available through the Creative Commons Attribution license by Ziphoid. The song title is Radical Fanfare.